In a grim near future, former Marine John is being transported to a level 6 maximum security penitentiary, the most feared facility in existence. Upon arrival with the other inmates, a holographic projection of the warden greets them coldly, explaining that society has permanently rejected them. They'll never leave this place again. Soon after, John is escorted to meet the warden in person. As the warden scans through John's file, he learns that John once murdered his commanding officer and has already broken out of 2 level 5 prisons. His DNA analysis reveals he's genetically prone to violence and defiance of authority. The warden then outlines the grim rules. No visitors, no calls, no letters, and any disobedience will be met with brutal retribution. Moments later, guards beat John senseless and toss him into a cell. His new cellmate quietly offers him a piece of smuggled bread, unaware that every cell is monitored. The warden notices through security cameras. That evening, John witnesses a man screaming as guards drag him away. His cellmate explains that the man is being sent to Absolom, a remote island for inmates who defy prison rules. The man's panic shouts grow incoherent, forcing John to silence him before the guards hear. When John wakes the next morning, his cellmate has disappeared. Suddenly, he's brought before the entire prison in the judgment chamber. The warden declares that hoarding food is a grave offense punishable by 10 electric lashes. John's cellmate is strapped to a rotating metal rig as the warden shocks him once, then orders John to deliver the remaining 9 lashes. John refuses, prompting the warden to aim his weapon at the cellmate. Acting fast, John seizes the taser to create a diversion and takes the warden hostage, but the surrounding guards overpower him. After another savage beating, John is loaded onto a helicopter bound for Absolom. The guards throw him onto the island without a word before flying away. When he comes to, John finds himself crawling with rats. He brushes them off and surveys his surroundings, a thick jungle filled with animal calls. As he moves through the trees, figures dart between the foliage. A tribe of savage inmates known as the Outsiders surround him and knock him unconscious. John awakens in their chaotic settlement where the ragged prisoners swarm him, trying to strip him of his clothes. Their leader Marek halts the mob with a gunshot and takes control. After being locked up for hours, John is brought before Marek, who mockingly welcomes him and refers to the island as a vacation. The once luxurious resort is now a decaying jungle stronghold, home to violent criminals banished over many years. To prove his worth, Marek orders John to fight one of his warriors, Ralph, over a pool of water. John is given a blade and pushed onto a hanging net while Ralph smashes a statue to show off. Unimpressed, John quickly hurls the blade into Ralph's chest, causing him to crash into the platform and fall into the pool. Marek laughs approvingly and approaches to congratulate him, but John snatches his gun and pushes him into the water. He tries to fight his way through the crowd, but the weapon jams. Outnumbered, John flees into the jungle as the Outsiders pursue him. He climbs a tree to hide until the mob disperses, then sets a spear trap that impales a passing guard. Sneaking up, John breaks the man's neck and takes his weapons. When he tries to run again, he slips down a hill and injures his leg. While binding the wound, another outsider ambushes him. John quickly overpowers and kills the attacker with his own spear. The noise exposes him and another pursuer charges. John triggers a primitive trap. He dodges a swinging log that crushes the enemy instead. As he hobbles onward, Scab, Marek's right-hand man, shoots an arrow into John's leg. Despite the injury, John pushes on until the Outsiders corner him at a cliff and fire blowgun darts, knocking him into the river below. Miraculously, John survives the fall and is rescued by a rival group called the Insiders, who live in a far more civilized settlement. News of this reaches the warden, who monitors everything remotely. When John awakens, he's astonished by the order and peace among these prisoners. While exploring, he tries to enter a forbidden building, but Hawkins and Skull stop him, warning that it's off limits. Later, John meets their leader, known only as Father, who commends him for escaping the Outsiders and invites him to join their community. John, however, only wants to find a way off the island. He soon befriends Desart, a skilled mechanic attempting to fix a broken gun. They bond over their shared military knowledge. Dysart and Hawkins take John up to the watchtower, explaining that escape is nearly impossible. The island teems with dangers. The Outsiders outnumber them 6-1, and any aircraft would arrive within seconds of detection. John visits Tom, the village healer, who treats his leg and warns him to keep the wound clean since medicine is scarce. Outside, John realizes he's being tailed by a young man named Casey, who's eager to meet the first person to escape Marek's camp. John dismisses him and throws a box into the sea, testing the waters only for waves to smash it apart instantly. Casey joins him, warning that the waters are filled with sharks. That night, John spots a group carrying supplies to the shore and secretly follows, but Hawkins catches him and punches him, warning him to cooperate. John retaliates with a blow of his own and walks off. The next morning, during breakfast, John asks Casey about his crime. Casey reveals he once helped a mafia boss kidnap 2 children. Though he hadn't planned their deaths, his boss murdered them, leading to Casey's imprisonment. As they talk, a helicopter passes overhead. Casey explains that supply drops come twice a month, but the outsiders always seize them. The drops are random, making them impossible to predict. Later, John visits Killian, who distills homemade alcohol. John nearly chokes on it and insults the taste, provoking a fight that's interrupted by an alarm bell. Everyone rushes to the gates. One guard has fallen asleep again, on duty, a capital offense. The punishment is exile, so the man is banished into the jungle. Meanwhile, the outsiders brawl over roasted rats until Marek restores order. When asked about the incoming supplies, he promises they'll get them soon if they behave. One rebellious man challenges Marek's authority, arguing John defeated him and should lead instead. Enraged, Marek decapitates him on the spot and orders Scab to prepare for an assault on the insiders' camp. On Christmas Day, the insiders decorate a small tree and gather for a modest celebration. Father delivers a heartfelt speech honoring the dead, while John reminds them to also pray for those banished. He plans to leave the next morning, though Father doubts he'll survive. At the same time, the outsiders stealthily position themselves outside the village, ready to strike. A spy alerts the insiders, who raise the alarm and prepare for battle. Casey begs John to fight beside him, and though John initially refuses, he soon surprises him by climbing the wall to help defend the settlement. Back at the main prison, the warden receives word of the impending war and coldly decides to let the convicts annihilate each other. On the island, chaos erupts when outsiders ambush guards on a nearby bridge and launch flaming arrows. One arrow pierces a man's mouth, killing him instantly. Hawkins orders everyone down, but the village buildings catch fire. As defenders scramble to extinguish the flames, more are shot dead. The attackers tie trees to the main gate, cutting them so the collapse shatters the barricades and towers. The outsiders surge in, and a bloody battle breaks out. John fights ferociously, taking down multiple foes. Casey freezes during an attack, but John saves him with a precise arrow. Even Father fights with his staff, while Skull shields him using martial arts. Still, Father is stabbed, forcing Hawkins to pull the dagger and send Skull to escort him to safety. Meanwhile, Marek and Scab sneak in through the rear via the river, murdering a guard on the way. John notices them and uses a pulley to reach the tower fast. Inside, Scab knocks Skull unconscious and seizes Father by his wound. Marek prepares to kill him, but John bursts in through a trapdoor, dropping Marek to the lower floor, while Skull fires a flaming arrow into Scab. As Marek rises, he and John engage in a brutal duel until Scab, engulfed in flames, stumbles between them. Marek hurls the burning man out the window and flees, ordering his men to retreat. Once the fighting stops, the insiders burn the corpses while Father honors the fallen. Watching the flames, John flashes back to his wartime memories, innocents he'd killed under orders. Killian joins him, sharing that Father was accused of his wife's overdose, though the evidence was weak, making him likely innocent. The next morning, John spots men carrying crates toward the shore and secretly follows. To his shock, they've been building a boat. Father confirms that they've long planned an escape. Dysart engineered the craft to evade radar through a cooling system, but other sensors still detect it, and helicopters quickly destroy it. The insiders barely survive the ensuing gunfire by hiding behind rocks. Father concludes there's a spy among them. John insists on joining the next escape attempt, but Father reminds him others have waited years for their turn. Later, John visits Dysart, who's already constructing another vessel. Dysart confides that decades ago he built a bomb for money, killing 50 people. His guilt keeps him on the island. John notices a Chevy engine nearby, missing its distributor. John then approaches Father with a deal. He'll infiltrate Marek's camp to retrieve the missing part if he and Casey can earn spots on the next boat. Father agrees, provided John promises to inform the world about Absolom once free. Hawkins gives him a hand-drawn map for a safe route, while Dysart arms him with Molotov bombs. Casey insists on joining, but John intimidates him into staying behind. Elsewhere, Marek consolidates power by murdering rival leaders and displaying their severed heads, declaring the era of petty infighting over. Hours later, John reaches the outsiders' camp, only to discover Casey secretly followed him. Before John can react, Casey steps on a trap and ends up hanging from a tree. As John rushes to help, the outsiders ambush and capture them both. Merrick mocks them before ordering Casey tied with shards of glass around his neck. Using the chaos as cover, John sneaks free, kills a guard, and locates the missing engine part. Climbing into a tower, he takes out 2 more guards with stolen weapons. From above, he sees Casey being tortured. To create a diversion, John hurls a Molotov into a nearby hut, triggering a massive explosion. As chaos erupts, he dashes to rescue Casey, but Marek intercepts them and forces the pair into the pool, demanding they fight to the death. Casey whispers to John that he must end this because the insiders need him alive. John refuses, so Casey impales himself on a spear to save him. Furious, Merrick prepares a guillotine to execute John when suddenly, the insider spy attacks Merrick, urging John to return to warn father of a second assault. John races back and delivers the distributor to Desart, pushing him to hurry. He alerts everyone of Merrick's plan and finds father bedridden and gravely ill. John argues they should abandon the village since they're too weak to fight again. Hawkins resists, but father sides with John and orders an evacuation. The next morning, John visits father again and learns the truth. He's dying of an incurable disease. No one else knows, though Hawkins suspects. Father asks John to lead the people, but John refuses. His only goal remains escape. Instead, father hands him his journal, asking him to expose the truth about Absolom to the outside world. Later, Desart finishes the new boat. When they test its engine, the flames trigger John's haunting memories of wartime massacres, and he storms off in anger. That night, he confides in father, revealing he was forced to kill civilians and later assassinated his commanding officer when the government covered it up. The next day, the head of the spy is found impaled outside the gate. The warden, watching through surveillance, smirks as the outsiders launch their second attack, only to find the village empty. As they celebrate prematurely, John appears in a tower with the repaired gun and opens fire, detonating explosives that decimate their ranks. The insiders, hidden nearby, charge in and overpower the survivors. When father limps out to witness the aftermath, Marek suddenly emerges, killing Skull before challenging John once more. Their fierce fight ends with John hanging over the edge. Marek moves to finish him, but father grabs Marek from behind. Marek fatally stabs father, prompting John to climb back up and pummel Marek until he falls onto a spike below. As the smoke clears, John and Hawkins see flames by the shore. The boat is on fire. They rush there to find Desart dead, clutching Tom's necklace, revealing him as the warden's spy. They storm Tom's hut and uncover a hidden transmitter. Tom admits the warden promised him freedom for betraying the insiders. Knowing a helicopter is coming to retrieve him, John forces Tom to alter its landing coordinates. When the chopper arrives, Tom serves as bait. The insiders ambush the soldiers, killing them. John storms the helicopter and confronts the warden, frightening him before kicking him out to the ground where he lands beside Tom. Taking control, John pilots the helicopter into the sky with Hawkins, Killian, and several others. Meanwhile, back in the jungle, the abandoned warden and Tom find themselves surrounded by the snarling outsiders, their own prisoners, now turning on them as the island's endless cycle of violence continues. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button with the bell icon to watch more videos like this.